All right, 5-1 was the score. Canes lost. Toronto was in town. There was a little bit of a time off before it, so I think many were hoping that the Canes, fresh legs, ready to roll, maybe healthier. Turns out maybe not healthier. Keandre Miller wasn't able to go with an illness, which shuffled up, I'm sure, some of the plans. I want to start with the water on the fire, the wet blanket. I want to start with the calm down of it all before we ramp up the maybe overreaction of it all. They're second in the Eastern Conference. The Carolina Hurricanes are second in the Eastern Conference with plenty of time left in the season. Okay? So if like I've been saying all along, we judge the Carolina Hurricanes the way you should judge the Carolina Hurricanes this season, which would be by how they do in the postseason. We're not to panic time. We're not to get mad time. We're not to get depressed time. We're not to the any kind of alarm time. It is December 5th. The postseason is a long way away, and they are still comfortably in position to be right where they want to be when the postseason begins. So everything, right? I always say it's the old sales cliche, right? Don't accept a no from someone that can't tell you yes, right? When you're trying to sell to a business, don't let if the only person that can say yes to a gigantic purchase order is the boss, don't let anyone but the boss tell you no, right? It's an old cliche. So similar, right? If the Canes were playing lights out right now, if they were on a 10-game win streak, they were averaging 5.5 goals a game, giving up 2. If they were lights out, I'd be going, yeah, I mean, what are they going to do? Win another President's Trophy? Like, what are they going to do? Win the division? No, it's about what they do to get to the Cup. Can they win in the Eastern Conference Finals? So if I wouldn't accept positive for what reasons they're playing right now, don't panic with the negative. Have a little bit of faith, a little bit of trust.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be games where it's just not clicking. And last night, just didn't seem to be a ton of energy, creativity in terms of offense. Obviously, some struggles on the defensive end as well. And it is weird how, and I think someone pointed this out in our YouTube chat, it feels like every time they have a little bit of a layoff, a little bit of extra time to rest and get healthy and get ready, they do come out a little bit flat after that. I don't remember if it was last year or a couple seasons ago. They were coming off a layoff, and they played a game. I think it was against Winnipeg, I want to say. And you'd think they'd come out firing, and then all those days off, they end up, I think they had like a 5-day break then, and they just laid an egg against the Jets in a game, a couple seasons ago. I think it was kind of around the trade deadline as well. It's a weird thing. I think this team, it's kind of like when we talk about the Panthers and Dave Canales, and talk about the running backs like needing to get into a lather. Like, I think they kind of play better when they get into that rhythm, and they're kind of able to keep the momentum going a little bit.
And I fall for it every single time. When they get like 4 days off, I'm like, oh, they're going to be great. And then they start slow, and I fall for it every single time. So maybe y'all can help me watch guard that one. The one thing I think that is not being overreacted to is the goalie. Right? And even yesterday, right? You can go back and listen to our show yesterday going into the game. I had this big, practically a sermon, definitely a monologue about patience and about, a lot of these problems I believe will be healed over time. But every single time that we had that conversation, or every single time I made what I felt was a big dramatic point, I added the qualifier. Of course, this is separating goalie. Because if we're judging by the postseason, then this entire season is about figuring out who you want in goal. Are they good enough in goal in the postseason, right? If we're judging them by the postseason, then the regular season is just all a pre-test, right? It's all the practice test. And I think we'll learn actions speak louder than words when it comes to Freddie Andersen and how they're going to be handled going forward. Because I, like everybody, and I know you were actually, your little side hustle there. You're in the building. There were some faux cheers for Freddie Andersen yesterday.
Paul Iander and I were talking about it this morning on Next Up. He calls it the Bronx cheer, I believe. Just the sarcastic. It's like when Patrick Waugh left Montreal, and there's the famous clip of like the puck rolls in on him from the neutral zone, and the whole crowd starts cheering and he puts his hands up to like kind of mock celebrate and kind of give it back to him. And after that, he got traded to Colorado, and the rest of that is history. And I'm not saying Freddie Andersen is Patrick Waugh when I make that comparison, by the way. Let's make that clear. It's
no,
look,
you're getting good at this media thing because you could see that happening in slow motion.
Yeah, I have to make sure that qualifier is in there. And look, like, I'm not personally a fan of that. Like, if you're supporting your team, like, support your team. That's the way it is for me. And obviously he's struggling, and Freddie knows that. I'm sure he knows he'd like to be playing better. It's probably not fun for him to be struggling right now. But at the same time, there's also a responsibility for the coaches to put the best players on the ice, to give the team a chance to win. And Freddie has not really given them that chance recently, and it's the early shots too.
Yep.
You got to get through that first segment of the game without giving up a goal. And like, there were jokes around the building, like in the build-up too. It's like, all right, if he saves the first 2 or 3, like, maybe we'll be in this game. And then, immediately that shot off the post and in early, and they're already playing from behind less than a minute in. It's tough. So there's got to be some kind of changes, some kind of decisions made on the goaltending rotation. Obviously, I don't think Freddie Andersen is just going to be phased out of it immediately, but I think he has it in him to bounce back and be better than what we've seen. Because if not, it's looking eerily reminiscent to me of when Antti Raanta kind of had his final season in Carolina a few years ago as well.
Let's hear from Freddie himself after the game on if he still has his game. Here's sorry. I don't want that one. I want to hear Rod Brindamore first. Rod Brindamore talking about that he doesn't really fault Andersen on the goals.
I mean, that's tough because you don't really fault him, I don't think, on the goals. It's just there was only a handful of really good quality chances. They were able to capitalize. I mean, that's what they do. That's a great team offensively, and there was, I think, the second one is just a tough one. There's nothing you can do about it. It's a bad bounce totally. And then now we're down 2. And then, they did a real nice job kind of hunkering in. They didn't have to open it up. And then when we kind of tried to, they capitalized.
I think actions, the reason why I said that earlier, actions will speak louder than words because they have options, right? If Pyotr Kochetkov comes back and Bussy stays solid, they don't have to play Freddie. So saying, like, we still believe, you can say whatever you want. We'll see who's in net over the next however many games. That's going to say a lot more. Freddie Andersen, after the game, was asked if he still has his game, as I teased earlier. This is what that sounded like.
The way I look at it, I played worse hockey and better numbers. It's not really, it doesn't look good. Obviously, we're not getting the wins with me in that lately, but I still feel like I got my game. Maybe not perfectly where I wanted, but I've had, like I said, I've had worse stretches where things have looked better and got more wins. So that's I look at it, try to be positive and move on.
This is what it comes down to for me for Freddie. Okay, and I like Freddie. I think during the postseason last year, at times he was really, really good. Like I think goalies, pitchers, quarterbacks, they get more of the blame than they deserve, and they get more of the credit than they deserve when things are going poorly or well. And you can guess how that all goes. The third goal had to be stopped last night. I think that's one that he'll see when he closes his eyes, laying to go to sleep. He'll see that one on replay.
I mean, that was a ridiculous individual effort, though.
True,
by Matthew Nyes, just to be able to even get a shot off there.
But even more so, right? An individual crazy effort that gets blanked, so important. I thought the first one he probably could have got. Other than that, he would have had to make a play. But that's, I think, the most frustrating part with Andersen is occasionally you just need to bail your teammates out as a goalie, right? Occasionally you need to get to one that maybe you shouldn't, right? Occasionally you need to, I'm thinking baseball terms, be an outfielder that gets to one like outside your range that only had a 0.3% catch percentage, right? So your pitcher gets a better ERA, maybe a little undeserved, but they got bailed out by a teammate. Make a web gem for those of you back in the day. Get Carl Ravitch saying web gem for you. Like that's a part of being a goalie. It just is. It's a part of being a goalie, is getting the one occasionally when your team needs it that wouldn't have been a bad goal if you allowed it. And Freddie hasn't done that enough, which is a tall ask, don't get me wrong. But how many times do we see, particularly in the postseason, particularly when things are getting to crunch time, particularly when the Canes are having their hearts ripped out, a great look by a Canes forward, a great look by a Canes winger, and a goalie makes a stop that they shouldn't, right? That you're going, how? And that's what it all turns on.
In the last loss before last night against Rangers last week on Wednesday, I mean, that's what Shesterkin was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think they played a good game in that one and ended up losing 4-1 because Shesterkin was he's able to kind of pull them out of those situations because he's so good, even though the Rangers themselves, I don't think are that great of a team. But, when you have that goaltender back there, he's able to really do a lot for you.
We've now referenced Hasek, Patrick Roy, and Shesterkin. I don't need Freddie. I don't need anybody to be that, right, at their best. You just got to do the goalie thing. It's the it factor, whatever you want to call it, thing. We haven't been seeing it enough.
Well, besides being like the it factor, even just average numbers would be a little bit of an improvement over what we've seen from Freddie so far this year. And the statistic is 11-1 in games not started by Freddie, and then 5-7-2 in his games, and they've lost the last 6 that he's started. And I'm just hoping that,
in the interest of saying both sides of the story, though, I do think hockey is a large sample size sport.
Right.
If you have a bad 5-game stretch, by the end of the year, we're not talking about the bad 5-game stretch. You're looking at save percentages and everything over the season. I just think it's worth experimenting now, right? Like I said, it's December 5th. There's a lot of time to experiment. If you wanted to, if you're Rod Brindamore, you're Eric Tolsky, or whoever's in their little inner circle, if you wanted to find out if Brandon Bussey was for real, give him some real volume,
this is a time.
I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. I think he plays 2 of these next 3
and Freddie,
at home.
And Freddie's he's missed chunks of seasons before for injury and not been any worse for the wear, right, when he returns. So, I don't think you worry. Maybe it'll help if you give him a long time off, but I don't think you're worried about that, at least not right now.